Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy Myron.
Hey, man, what's going on? You know, we just did the pre-show on video, and I don't know if the fans, well, these fans can't see it because this is audio, but I want to let everybody know that I shaved my head so I could show support for whatever disease Shawn Michaels has.
Or there's lots of other guys in UFC. Yeah,
Old age.
Old age is what it's called, man. It's I don't think it's a disease anymore than it's just old age. Yeah. And we're gonna get there, man. Because
that guy from the UFC wasn't old. When he hopped over that cage.
I was gonna ask you if you saw that, man. That was crazy. Yeah. Because Connor talked all that shit coming in, man. He was gonna just manhandle this guy. He talked about his family, his religion, his country. That didn't go so well for Connor, did it?
No, it was not his night.
I think
it was bad.
But you know what? Connor didn't actually. It was one of those. I think he lost the battle, but I don't know that he lost the war in this because Khabib, and I'm not going to try to butcher the rest of his name, folks. If I get it wrong, I apologize up front.
This wrestler's name?
The UFC fighter, Khabib, whatever his name is, yeah. Jumping out of the cage, man, that was potentially could be the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it wasn't smart, but I mean, he was pissed off, and he got a shot at him, and he took him down. So I don't know, man. It looked like a wrestling event to me.
Well, you'd say that, but here's the problem: he jumped on a guy who was an unsanctioned UFC fighter.
Was he a manager?
He's a handler, teammate, whatever, but he's not. Doesn't matter. Dana White pointed out these guys they're not sanctioned fighters. In UFC they have to follow all that athletic commission stuff that. And so those guys weren't sanctioned. They weren't authorized to fight.
They're going to have to give their managers tennis rackets. What they're going to have to do.
I mean, they should have. I mean, if you got guys like this jumping out of the cage coming after you, well, the problem is, dude, and even you get the three guys that jumped into the cage. Mm-hmm. They're trying to go after Connor.
This is not an effective cage. This cage is not as effective as the WWE blue cage. They're
going to need McGregor.
We're going to need to do Hell in a Cell. If we're going to do this
exactly.
Stuff, they need to build for a big payoff for this. Okay. Blow the whole thing off in a Hell in a Cell UFC match. You want to make it? You make it interesting. That way, nobody can get in and out of the cage.
So yeah, because clearly we've heard there's going to be a rematch, right? Dana White saying they're going to probably strip him of the lightweight title, and the only way really to settle it's going to be a rematch. So in the rematch, we get some more shenanigans. And then we get the blow off, the rubber match in the Hell in a Cell. Maybe somebody from Connor's team interferes or something, jumps the cage, and maybe they hand a foreign object through the cage, and that would be cool.
Man, what did Steve Austin say?
That was the funniest. To me, that's what made this whole event. I busted out laughing. Austin, tweets out like, "I love pro wrestling" right after the fight and all the brawl because, we've heard it lately. It's been said a lot. UFC is doing pro wrestling better than pro wrestling sometimes.
Oh yeah, and it all started with Conor McGregor. He's the genius behind all this. And I don't watch UFC because I know this is going to sound silly, but it's too violent for me. I like wrestling because I know it's not intentionally violent. It's like cartoons, or a good wrestling match is like watching a Spider-Man cartoon or something. You can enjoy it. It's fantasy. But the UFC stuff has always kind of hit me as being so violent that I never really got into it. But it may be a different thing now.
It's one thing. It's like football. It's violent. Wrestling's violent. But, I mean, like I said, when you're choking guys out and you're busting, faces and blood flying everywhere, you're kind of like, it's like, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, man, that was huge this weekend. It was all over. Twitter was on fire. I mean, just
all it was. It was, man.
Yeah, all the way up until Saturday morning at like 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now I'll go ahead and tell you because obviously I worked the little one. She does cheer competition. I had to work an event that morning. I was told I was going to get to sleep in because they were going in early, and I was going to have to come later and work the front door. But apparently, that memo didn't get passed around because I was still awake. At like 6:30, somebody woke me up, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, hell, I'm up. What do you think I'm going to do? I roll over and I just grab my phone, and I started watching Super Showdown, on my phone while I was getting ready, and I got there at the arena, and then I watched the entire match that, the main event, Triple H and Taker. I got to watch it sitting in the parking lot before I went in.
How was it? What did you think?
Man, it's funny. It was smoke and mirrors. As soon as I heard this match is now a no disqualification, we knew what was coming. I mean, it was going to be Shawn got involved, Kane's involved. They're super kicking, handing weapons, putting people through tables. But here's the thing. I never thought the match drug, and I was thoroughly entertained, and they delivered on the nostalgia going through the whole thing. But that's what you expect, right?
That's what everybody. If they'd have done that and not pulled it off, I think people would have been disappointed with it. It's what you want. It's what you want. A little Attitude Era, and give you a flashback to Attitude Era. Was that wrestling better than the Attitude Era? No. Was the booking better? I don't know, but there was a lot of more flash. The athletes were nowhere near as good, but it had a bond with you. You felt like you bonded with your wrestlers and you were emotionally involved with them. And that's what they did out there. They knew what they were supposed to do. They're 4 professionals who's been around forever. And apparently they're going to be around longer.
That's what it looks like. Because clearly, it looked like it was crazy. I don't know. Because, watching it live, I was like, oh, it's about to go off the air. And I literally about turned it off to get out of the car and go in and work this event. And all of a sudden, Kane and Taker, blam, blast them. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, And so clearly we knew we were what we were heading to. We had heard the rumors. It wasn't, we just figured, how are we getting there, right? So clearly we're going to WWE Crown Jewel. That's where we're heading to.
Yeah, and it's a no-brainer, man. You got Shawn back, and you got people, let people see him and see if they want him and see how they react. And people popped the other night on Raw when they got out, not last night, but the one before that, where they got laid out by Undertaker and Kane. People love that. So they're like, okay, we'll give them more of it. And that's smart business. It's not for me. I'm not interested in seeing it, but I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to complain about it. If I don't want to see it, I just won't watch it. No harm, no foul.
So you don't want him to come out and wrestle. You didn't want him to come out.
I don't think it's necessary. And I'm not one of those people that are like, he takes spots from the young guys who need him and work all the time. Okay, if those young guys were ever as popular as Shawn Michaels, he wouldn't be taking their spot. He was popular. He is still popular. He can still get a pop. Those young guys need to learn how to do that, and once they figure out how to do that, they won't have all these these old guys coming back to steal their stuff. So I'm cool with it. Whatever. Let them come back. It's just not, I'm not interested in it. I'm not against it. Just not interested in it.
Well, Kevin Nash is we talked about it last week, and go back and listen to last week's episode, and you'll hear us talk about Kevin Nash made the point, why Shawn Michaels and, Triple H and Taker and all those guys in the rings, because nobody's invested into the young guys. Nobody cares about the young guys like they do the old guys. The second part of that equation I'll ask you about is, is everybody like, oh, he's coming back, he should have came back and he should have wrestled, AJ, or he should have came back and wrestled Daniel Bryan, or he should have came. The only person, me, I'm a diehard Shawn Michaels fan at HBK. I was like, I didn't want him to come back at all. However, I always said the only person that if he did come back, he should ever wrestle would be Undertaker for some reason. That'd be the only reason that you could justify him coming out, is if Taker pushed him to the point of coming out, because he said he never came out because of the respect for Taker.
Yeah.
And well played, WWE. He's coming back because he lost his respect for Undertaker.
Once again, they're listening to you.
Not me. I don't know what the hell.
No. Somebody's listening to you, because your booking ideas keep showing up on these big shows more than you would think. Yeah, how many downloads a week do we get out of Connecticut?
Enough.
Yeah. Enough to make you think. So yeah, I get what you're saying, man. It was the perfect read to bring him out. Okay? The perfect guy. The perfect reason. They booked this correctly. It's a good deal. I mean, and if, like Nash said, if the young guys knew how to do this the way the old guys did, And is it scripted versus non-scripted? Is that the difference? Can the guys not, can they not, let me see if I phrase this right. Can they not develop their character enough to make people care because they're reading off scripted promos?
Could be.
There's a pretty good chance of that. I really think it's possible that the whole problem is the scripted promo. So, think about that, WWE. I know you got total control over it, but the guys people like are the guys that are more organic, that are believable, that just work out right. So it's something that I know Impact was talking about. They were talking about less scripted promos. So it's a possibility.
Well, I mean, they're doing lots of changes. I mean, like I said, the whole, like I said, when it comes to Shawn Michaels, we all know it came down to money. The crown, Crown Jewel, Super Showdown, even the Greatest Royal Rumble they did back at, at the beginning of the year. There's just so much money involved, and there's so many things that these guys are requesting when they're paying all this money. And WWE is obliged to give it to them if they can, if there's enough money to go around.
There's a Brothers of Destruction t-shirt on the shop. There's a Generation X t-shirt on the shop. All new, not reprints, not nostalgia stuff. Brand new t-shirts. And I'll drop one of the other ones. I just received an email from them. It was 3 t-shirts that were new that they sent pictures of in the email. It's a big deal. Okay? It's marketing. That's money. Lots of money. So if you do something worth t-shirt worthy, they bring this out, they plan this, they make it look good. They're doing it. They know what they're doing. Just let them do it, folks.
I mean, yeah.
If you don't like it, don't watch it, but don't shit all over it.
Which is, we always say just don't watch, right? I mean, it's okay. And, a bunch of people are saying they're not, but we'll get into that in a little bit later. But clearly, like I said, gave us the nostalgia. They clearly were setting up the Crown Jewel. But Crown Jewel is being set up pretty well across the board. We also got at Super Showdown the fluky win. Daniel Bryan did the small package win on The Miz. And the match was 2 or 3 minutes long. It wasn't that long at all. So now we're going to get Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, that Crown Jewel for the WWE title.
Yeah.
I want you to wrap your mind around this. This is because this is the funny part. This is what your diehard internet wrestling, smart mark fan tells you they want to see that's the match they want to see, right?
Yeah.
But Joe Schmo on the street doesn't know.
No. The people in Saudi Arabia don't know.
I don't know. We'll see, but they clearly, we're going to laugh and see. Do you think that, because just like Super Showdown, does this tag match with DX and the Brothers of Destruction main event that card?
I would think it would.
Doesn't it have to?
Yeah, what are you going to put on above it?
Well, you do have a triple threat for the Universal title, and you have a WWE title match as well.
Yeah, but this is 4 Hall of Famers. I mean, Kane's not, and Taker aren't in the Hall of Fame, but
they're going to be. Yeah, they're Hall of Famers. They just aren't in yet.
Yeah. I mean, these are 3 guys that have sewn up great careers. They need to go on last. And that's what the market's going to watch over there. And that's what the people over there are going to watch. And they're going to want that when it comes on. I don't think there's any way you can bump it.
You know what? I'm going to put a poll out on Twitter and see what people think. Which match should main event Crown Jewel? Should it be, you think we do 3? There's no point, because I don't think we know, the women yet. We got Evolution.
There's not going to be any women at Crown Jewel.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get there. So I'm sorry. I was segueing in a second to the Evolution show, but the main event, basically, it's between those 3. Wouldn't you think it's got to be those 3? It's got to be either the triple threat for the Universal, Daniel Bryan and AJ for the WWE, or the Legends tag match.
Yeah. So that's all it can be.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that out on Twitter at TappedOutPod. Go ahead and vote on that. And if you're not a Twitter person, you can always, email us tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Yes. Follow us on Facebook, Tapped Out Pod. You can find us there as well. Shoot us, a little message over there and tell us who you think we're just curious to see who you think should be in that main event spot. But you're going the tag match, you think?
Yeah, I'm just going to go to the tag match because the audience over there the show, the people that bought this show, They know The Undertaker. They know Kane. They know Shawn Michaels. They know Triple H because they're. I'm not saying they're a nostalgic crowd. I'm saying it seems like they get programming from 20 years ago.
Was that you that tweeted that?
Yeah, I tweeted Vince McMahon Googling, yes.
Yeah.
It does. That's right. You think about it. When they ask for the stuff, when they ask for the original show, they ask for guys that haven't wrestled in years and some that were dead.
Yeah.
So it seems like they watch old stuff and you're giving them old stuff and they're the people buying it. I mean, this show isn't for American audiences. It's a treat. We get it because it's one of those network things where they broadcast it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, but before we get to Crown Jewel, because look for that poll, by the way. I want to vote, retweet, share it, all that good stuff. But before we get to the Crown Jewel, we've got this little show called WWE Evolution coming up, the all women's pay per view.
Yes.
And on Raw, God bless them. You know what? Of all of the grief they took for not handling the Charlotte Becky thing with the right one being the babyface, they handled this one properly. I mean, people were shitting. We talked about this last week. All over Brie Bella about her work, and they were booing her, whatever. They just embraced it, and they turned the Bella's heel. They made it
perfect.
Yeah. Never saw it coming, right?
Perfect. I'm feeling something might happen, but I'd never thought they would turn the Bella's nasty heels since they're their TV stars. You know, I thought they would protect Total Bellas. Just drop the whole thing, man. They went out there and were nasty. They beat the hell out of her. They wouldn't stop. That's not babyface stuff. That's heel stuff. It was excellent. Just absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, it's, like I said, at least because now, if nothing else, the fans that want to boo them can boo them. They're going to be booing the right people. They're going to be, they've got the right person as the babyface. They've got the right person as the heel. And awesome.
People booed the Bellas for not for their character. They booed them because they thought they didn't. And now you've got him in a spot there. The booze. It's perfect for him. You got dangerous Brie. Now you can play up Brie Bella being a dangerous shooter. You know. And thank God Liv Morgan was cleared and can come back. You know. I'm glad of that.
What did you think of that moment? And I mean, Liv's got to be okay with it, obviously, because she does it, right? But what is that moment in that match? I don't know if you watched it yet. But
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Liv, they put her very quickly in the ring with Brie. She's on her knees, and Brie draws up like she's about to start doing the yes kicks.
You talking about last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that just cracked me up to no end.
That was Heat Central, man.
And the crowd, the boos. I was like, God, they did a really good job. I was actually really impressed with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, obviously they set up Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey at Evolution. I mean, we talked about this when we heard this rumor. We heard this rumor a month or two ago.
Oh yeah.
We were like, dude, it's the most recognizable woman athlete on the planet. Ronda Rousey, and probably one of the highest Q rating other women that they have on the roster, which is Nikki Bella, because she's been all over TMZ and E. And,
it's perfect. It's perfect. They've got the two biggest. I don't. When I say faces, I don't mean their alignment. I mean they're faces of the company.
Most recognizable. Yeah.
Most recognizable people in women's professional wrestling. Because I love Charlotte and I love Becky, but your casual fans know they know Nikki Bella. So it's a no-brainer, man. This is a good thing. I think it's just an absolutely great opportunity at the right place at the right time, and it's going to be good for everybody.
No,
because they're not going to really shit too hard on anyone, So it's going to give us a good one.
Now this is I don't know if you watch if you're on Patreon and you watch the pre-thing that we did, the prep show.
Yeah,
I'm about to mess Myron up a little bit. Because we didn't really talk about this, but what do you think of the Lita Trish tag match now versus being two separate matches versus Bliss and Mickie James?
Well, that's what I was reading, that they had originally planned it to be a tag match, but they didn't want to spoil the Bella heel turn, so they left it. They went ahead and set it up and dropped the, what's how I'm going to put this? They dropped those as two separate matches. And now they're a tag match, which I think is better because it protects everyone. Because you're in a bad situation when you've got a match like this. Because if you shit all over your current stars, you lose their credibility and they're on the show every week. But you can't make the veterans and the Hall of Famers look too bad, or that it doesn't look like they're that good. So a tag match is the perfect way to protect everyone and still get a good match out of the whole thing. I think this is going to be something interesting. I think it's going to be something that everybody can get behind, and I think we all should.
I'm a big fan of the women getting their own pay-per-view, and I know people go on their rants about they're only getting it because of the consolation prize, but they're getting it. I mean,
they're getting it because they deserve it. They're getting something because they deserve it, and people have asked for it, and WWE is going ahead and giving people what they want.
Yeah. So much so, I think we need to do a preview show or a recap show or something of this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I've got a young lady who said she's wanting to do it, so I think
definitely. She is the total Bella Diva expert,
and she's gonna hardcore. She got my login. She's upstairs, a couple nights a week catching up, so she'll be up to speed on the actual wrestling aspect of it as well. So.
Cool.
Well, speaking of the network, man, I know this Hardy's thing's got you all excited, man. This Halloween
thing. We're getting a Hardy's Halloween show. Not Hardy's the restaurant. The Hardy compound, the broken world or whatever you call it, that reality show they've been teasing. You're going to get a show with Matt Hardy and Senor Benjamin and I can't get my voice right to do the whole Matt Hardy screaming. But I watched the trailer for it. It looks just like the original Impact stuff that was so good. And on top of it, the people that are in this deal are the original people that did it on Impact with them. The same people are helping produce this. So I think we're going to get a really fun, really interesting show out of this, and I cannot wait. You know how fun that was with all the foolishness. Yeah, I was really pleased with it. I love the trailer. I think there's good things coming from this.
I'm excited for it, man. I mean, it's because it's everything. They're always looking for other things for the network, right?
Yeah, and it's a show from the network. It's a reality-based, non-reality-based show. It's a goofy, fun, enjoyable type thing that who knows? I mean, Matt could work for another 40 years. Stuff if we look at as the way he's hung in there as an actual in-ring performer.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Dorks last week, I was catching their show, they mentioned they were talking about how they're not a big fan of a lot of the original content and the other stuff, on the network. And by the way, you can catch their show on Thursdays here, check them out at the Gorilla Press with the Wrestling Dorks. You just do the Gorilla Press, you'll find it. It's on iTunes, Google Play, kind of the same as You Will Liars. Mm-hmm. So definitely check the guys out. They were talking about it last week. Maybe this will change their opinion.
I agree with them. I don't care for a lot of the stuff. I definitely like Table for Three. I like some of the other programs like that. But that was that old content show I was watching the other day. It had 5 guys around the table. I cannot remember the name of it to save my life.
I think it's just
amazing.
Roundtable. I think it's WWE Roundtable or something.
And I thought that show was amazing. But the rest of the stuff, I mean, I don't care for that cartoon. I'm not going to watch that. But I'm enjoying everything, the Hardy, and I'm enjoying the old, like the the Mid-South stuff I've been watching. There's stuff on there, but the original content to me is someplace that they can drop this and it's going to be amazing. It's a no-brainer. Go ahead. Give us some more of the stuff. Give us more of the stuff that we like.
Well, there's always talks about Impact, right? I mean, with the Hardys being there and
Impact's been in the news lately.
Yeah, they were up there. They were having some discussions, and we both had kind of had this conversation between us that we figured it was about, because, Scott D'Amore came out recently, kind of saying, he was on our buddy Dennis Farrell's podcast, Wrestling Perspective, and it's kind of he kind of brought up that there really wasn't an agenda. I know we had that on our show. We discussed the whole meeting they had apparently with WWE, but there really wasn't an agenda per se. They just kind of were like, hey, let's just all learn that we can get around in a room together and communicate,
talk,
right?
Chit chat. Yeah. And apparently it went really well. You know, they've got all kind of stuff going on. They're talking about sharing. Cause they had like 4 content sharing deals last year. With WWE used Impact content for some of their specials. And you've always heard about the tiered system that WWE is talking about for the network, where they're going to have other people's content on there. I don't know. It's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot of positive wrestling news that people are communicating and working together. Because that's how the NWA worked back in the day, you know. And everybody loves that old stuff and talks about how bad the new stuff is, but when there was all that communication, wrestling was better. Well, I'm a fan.
Well, you know, and we say all the time, I know, we're getting into the Impact world, and we know that's Lewis over at the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast specialty, and he hates when I say things like this, but, you know, I know everybody says, oh, they should stay. I'm not talking about Impact getting bought by WWE. But any relationship that they can work and get a bigger profile and more exposure in any way, form, or fashion is a good thing, in my opinion. It can't hurt.
Say WWE buys a library, okay, and starts broadcasting their library on there. They're not taking their new content.
Dude, I'm not even talking buying the library. Why not just a licensing deal where they have it on the network?
Yeah, and that's money for Impact that they can go to buy more talent, to pay for bigger arenas, to pay for more promotion, to hire more booking people. Like, you know, when they brought in all those guys, Scott D'Amore, they brought in who's the guy? Don Callis. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's it's been great for their business. So I think it's a no-brainer. Just take all the money you can get and then go from there.
Well, the reason, you know, I'm not trying to, and it's going to sound negative, and I apologize up front because I'm not trying to be negative for Impact. But, you know, everybody likes to bandwagon jump. We saw every bad news about the WWE's ratings. You know, oh, this is the lowest rating of all ever. There's less viewers ever that watch wrestling. I mean, I think it's wrestling across the board when it comes to TV ratings. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to give you a fact. I looked this up so I wanted to know, and then I'm going to defend it, which is crazy. The viewership last week for October 4th was 190,000 viewers for Impact. April 12th, it was 381,000. So we're talking half in about 6 months.
That's tough.
It's very tough. However, here's the defense. The product right now is probably as good as it's been in a long, long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I segued into this is because I hate to say this, they have to get off of Pop.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all they can do.
I know it's easier said than done, but that's why I came back to where I said any exposure they could get, even if it was a licensing deal and they're all their TNA stuff. That library was, you know, aired on the network or something like that. Maybe there's a 1 year window. They don't air anything, you know.
Who's that going to hurt?
Nobody.
It doesn't hurt anybody.
Because
I mean, what they've got now is a revenue sharing deal, and that's dog shit.
Yeah.
They need a deal where they get money from advertisements and stuff, and getting off Pop would be a good thing to do. And a partnership with the WWE would put them in a higher, how do we put this? It would make them a better credit risk. It'd WWE would be co-signing on their loans and stuff.
Do you want me to be a total ass about this? Impact would get more viewers right now being a taped product on the network than they're getting that 190,000. I would put money on it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Because it's the guys it's the AJ Styles and the Joes and the stuff. That'd be what people would be watching.
No, I'm talking about if they literally just said,
if they just
screw Pop TV, we're going to sign a deal and run our show on the WWE's TV. Yeah. And WWE, again, hey guys, look, don't tell me that I'm crazy because I know I could have told you that a long time ago. I have 3 daughters, so I know I'm crazy.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to say is they would have more viewers being on the network than they do on Pop.
I mean, Pop's crap.
But hey, let's be fair. We are telling you because we want better for the Impact Wrestling because it's a better product and it deserves better than Pop.
It's fun. It's a good, fun little product. I can't keep up with every single wrestling promotion in the world, but I think it's a fun product and I enjoy it. And I like the fact that if we gave it to a place where it could do better and get more viewers, who cares what it's on? You know? But Pop's not going to do it, and they're never going to get anywhere on Pop. Maybe it's time to renegotiate some of that stuff.
Think about it. As long as I'm not talking about WWE buying it, they work out a deal where they're on the network on Thursdays, whatever. I mean, because then people can watch it whenever, whatever. Dude, it's hard. I mean, I cord cut obviously, so we're doing a service now that I just don't want to plug it because it's been a pain sometimes. But to most people, I don't have the issues. But you got to go ahead and get like the Pop app to go back and try to watch it. And if it's 2 or 3 days before it's on there. Where if it was on the network, you could just fire it up, 30 minutes later after it started, watch it from the beginning, whatever. But that's just my take. There's lots of things, and I think that they can give them the bump, because I think they deserve better. And
well, here's the thing. I think the people at Impact, the actual Impact people, understand that cooperation is a good thing, and they're not as worried about their purity of their product, and they're not worried about talking to those mean old evil WWE people. They want to sell stuff and they want to make money, and they're smart people, and they've got the right people in charge over there. So they're the people to listen to.
Well, I mean, since they brought in D'Amore and Don Callis and stuff, they're heading in the right direction. And who knows? I mean, in hell, one of the directions we're hearing is one of Callis's buddies. Well, we just keep hearing this rumor. This Chris Jericho at Bound for Glory rumor won't die. They're hellbound in terms he's coming.
Oh God, yeah. I think it would be great for him. You want to get a shot in the arm, a dramatic shot in the arm right away? Get Chris Jericho on your show. Imagine how many people would be dialed into that. I mean, they could make so much money off that pay-per-view, it'd be ridiculous.
I mean, because he's showing up everywhere, man. It's not just Impact.
Yes.
Dude showed up at New Japan finally. I mean, he'd been out for a while. I mean, I think it's the last appearance he had was June the 4th, I think is when he won the title. He won the Intercontinental title. But he showed up. There was a cool little Evil comes out in a throne, and he's, of course, doing that whole thing, and they got the Druid. Is Druids making a comeback, man? You were asking me that.
It's gotta be. Druids, the Undertaker's making a comeback. Why the hell shouldn't Druids make a comeback, Everybody's popular again. As long as they don't hang the boss man, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible. But yeah, I mean, he walked out, he attacks Evil. I mean, it's pretty much, we clearly can see they're setting up his first, his IWGP Intercontinental defense that they got coming down the road. We'll see where they flesh it out. But man, he's just on fire, man. He's everywhere, and I think the Impact thing and him showing up in New Japan, it's a good thing across the board, man.
Oh yeah, I think so, definitely.
But that wasn't the only thing on that show. We also saw Kenny Omega defended the title against Cody and Ibushi in a rare. I mean, these guys for some reason never do triple threats for titles. It's just doesn't happen.
Because they got a good booker. Okay, I hate triple threats for titles because all it has done is to protect somebody. And it's never satisfying. You never get the right match you want. You never get an epic title match. You never get, like those epic WrestleMania style matches. You just get these, another triple threat match. So I think they know how to do it, and they consistently. What do they consistently do? Get stars and ratings, and they get a lot of viewers. So There might be something behind it. They put on great matches over there.
They do, but here's the crazy thing. Although the match was very solid, everything went really well. The big noteworthy thing that came out of the whole thing is, and no pun intended or anything, there's a big Bullet Club love fest coming on, after the match. Everybody's like, oh, hugging and doing their thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. Kenny Omega's getting ready to do his whole little, close out a show, whatever. And, Tanahashi comes out. Basically, this is the big news. Tanahashi comes out and announces he's cashing in his shot at the title at Wrestle Kingdom 13. So we're there. I mean, here we are, October, and they're setting up January at this point. They're doing some long-term planning, which is one of the things I do really enjoy about New Japan. They do a lot of long-term booking.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, it's good for them.
Here's the question. I'm going to ponder it to you, and then it's going to lead into a big conversation. That's in January. Well, Kenny Omega's contract's coming up right around that time, from our understanding. Are they setting the table, New Japan that is, for basically, are they worried that if they don't keep him, which we'll get into in a second, are they worried he's leaving and maybe they're just kind of setting the table where if they don't get the deal done, this is their out?
Well, that'd be the perfect time to take the belt off of him. Be the perfect time to get him set up to go. So I think it's smart on them to get things set up like that. I really hate the idea that it might happen because you just don't want it. I don't want to see them and to become WE people. Nothing against WWE, nothing against Kenny Omega, nothing against New Japan. I just think they should stay where they are because it's better for everybody.
Well, this is my next topic I want to really get into with you. This one's going to be a chunk, and this one's going to be, it's not meant to be controversial or anything like that. It's really opinion. And the same thing, this is one of those, we want you to share your thoughts and opinion on this whole next segment simply by, you can tweet us at TappedOutPod. You can email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Go on Facebook at TappedOutPod. Check it all out. I mean, I'm just telling you because here we go. I read an article. It was from View from the Turnbuckle. Jesse Collins wrote it. I'm really getting into reading these editorial pieces. And
because they've given us such wonderful material to talk about, man. You're finding some great articles.
The article is, pretty simple. The title was, Is Ring of Honor in a Boom Period or is it about to bust? I'm going to set the table, and then I want your opinion on it because there's a big chunk of information.
You described this because the way you did it was so cool. So preach it out again.
It's they're setting record crowds everywhere into 2018. They've sold 14,000 tickets for the Madison Square Garden, Ring of Honor New Japan show. Death Before Dishonor in Vegas, one of the biggest crowds. It's actually the biggest crowd they've ever drawn in Vegas. The question flips, though, however, when you actually watch Death Before Dishonor, the crowd just really explodes when it's Bullet Club members, and when it's not so much. And I say this again, I'm not knocking anything. All in, 11,000 people, and there, somebody really in the know, who we won't call out here, basically was there and said, there were 11,000 people in the building, probably 9,000 Bullet Club shirts.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing all that up is I'm worried that Ring of Honor is in a situation that with Kenny Omega, Page, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes, and the Young Bucks contracts, they're all kind of coming up. What would happen to them? How devastating would it be if most, or all of them were sucked away by the WWE with big time contracts, at the end of the year?
Say they put all their eggs in a basket. That's what would happen. I mean, if they've spent so much time working with these guys and putting everything behind these guys, and you turn around and they leave, you're screwed. What would you do? I mean, what could you do? Where's the possibility behind this? I don't know. I don't watch enough of it to get their undercard.
Well, you've got guys, I mean, no disrespect to these guys, trust me. One of the really homegrown talents I was really impressed with was Dalton Castle. They did a pretty good job, but does he move the needle? Jay Lethal as well. Very entertained. Loved the whole Flair and the Macho Man, those skits and stuff. But did they move the needle like the Bullet Club?
No, I have to say they don't. I really have to say they don't, and I think that's sad. But they're not exposed. They don't have the exposure these guys do. And part of it is the fact that the Bullet Club are geniuses on promoting themselves and promoting their web series and their social media. It's amazing. So either the other guys are going to have to step up and pull off what they're pulling off, or we're going to be in a bit of a hole over there at Impact,
Well, Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's such a bad spot to be in that all these contracts are coming up. I mean, we talked about it. To get to where they don't, here's the catch-22. I think they were trying to save all that money to hopefully keep these guys, that you lost somebody like a Punishment Martinez.
Yeah.
Because you didn't, did you not want to pay him because you're saving the money for them?
Well, that's one thing. But you've got a lot of money backing those guys. They've got all that Sinclair money, but is Sinclair going to put the money behind them?
And I'll say this, that's a myth. The Sinclair myth, I think, needs to be put to rest. Sinclair Broadcasting owns, they're the parent company for Ring of Honor, but let's be blunt, Myron, they don't put money into Ring of Honor very much. If you really think about it, they have time slots. They bought it for content. They didn't buy it to make it the top wrestling company in the world. That's not what they do.
No, they wanted to fill a hole with it.
Exactly.
But are they realizing they can be successful with it?
But here's the thing. Vince has proved a point to a fault. Let's say it, to a fault he's proved a point. Vince has created that the only way to survive, I think, long term, and I maybe this is going to say, I don't want to say it because that's not the right way to say it, but the brand has to be bigger than the name. Think about the dive they took when the true era, Attitude Era ended. That dip they took when your Austins, your Rock, when they left, it just went boom, and they had to rebuild again. You remember you had to build that next wave again before it came up. And that's my thing. The dilemma they have is you've created such, and Ring of Honor didn't create this beast, by the way. The Bullet Club created this beast, in the sense of Cody, Omega, all these stars have risen.
In Japan.
Well, everywhere. Even here, like you said, they marketed themselves to the point that there's so much, Vince won't let a star be bigger than the brand anymore. He won't be held hostage. Is this the example of why? Because if Ring of Honor loses all those guys in one mass exodus, which it could happen, first and foremost, don't think it's going to happen. Not saying it, but it could happen.
Do you still think it's all one or all?
I do believe it's one or all. I do believe those guys when they said if Page's contract's up, I think he would have already maybe made the move if they didn't kind of.
But he turned it down.
So, and again, I'm specifying right out. I don't believe they're gonna leave. But the theory that Ring of Honor needs to look at is, and the reason I brought it up, they've got to focus on some other people and push them really, really hard, to get them up to that level. Because if one thing Vince has tried to teach everybody, you got to make it big enough that if one guy leaves, that you're okay. It's not good, but it's okay.
They need to start working on that. They need to do something like that. I don't know how. I mean, is there something? Should they find a way to work like the younger guys in better, or do they take their existing talent and super promote them and give them a push? I don't know what the answer is.
Well, the scariest thing I also think they need to look at too is, and we were talking a little bit about off air, is that their deal with New Japan comes up I think it's 2020 maybe. Don't hold me to this because I don't know off the top of my head.
That used to seem like that was a long time away.
It does, but then you look at 2018 and we're at the end of it. It's like, dude, it's not that far. So if their deal, think about it. If WWE moves to Fox in October of 2019, your deal with New Japan ends in 2020. Now, will they probably re-sign? You would like to think yes, but guess what? Everybody talks about how great the expansion for New Japan is. Well, if it's doing so well, maybe they'd look at one day, they look in the mirror and go, we don't need Ring of Honor anymore. Because they've got a whole other year to build their U.S. presence, which they've done quite well between Access TV and all the events they've run.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, they might just be able to absorb Ring of Honor. And do you think Ring of Honor and New Japan could come together maybe and pony up the money together to keep them?
It would take something really unique. If Vince went, I'm about to say, no pun intended, all in, and made just a huge offer to those guys, I don't think New Japan nor Ring of Honor want to invest that much into a wrestler to keep them. Just like, I mean, think about it. They took Nakamura. If New Japan let Nakamura go for the money, they're not keeping they're not, because think about it. They own the Bullet Club. They own the name.
Yeah.
Think about New Japan to me is in a much better position if the Bullet Club leaves than Ring of Honor, because they've got the name, the Bullet Club. They actually have the Bullet Club OG, they have the Tongas, and members they're adding, So I think they would be okay, because they have a history of members of the Bullet Club leave. We just slide somebody else into, and fill those slots. It happens.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, just if all of those guys leave, a lot of those, the guys in Japan that are Bullet Club, they're not coming over here.
Yeah.
To work for Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So that's my scary scenario is that what they really need to do is split some time. It's one of those, Vince goes through those stages where they kind of take a step back to start grooming that next stage.
Yeah.
And that next stage, is that's where I think they need is to groom that next level, bring in some new talents. I mean, they do it, by the way. They have, what's going to lead me right in. I want to congratulate a friend of the show, Drew Duckworth, the Pale Horse, Josie Quinn, was just at one of the Ring of Honor dojo tryouts, and he made it. He's going in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Such a great guy.
Phenomenal. I can't put him over enough. He's a great dude. He's a great work. He in the ring. Yes. His character, I really dig the character. We've been behind the character.
Taking off, man. Yeah. Just taking off.
And by the way, this is not even a paid promotion, but if you want to know why you should be training at QT Marshall, Ray Lloyd at the One Fall Power Factory, here's the reason why. Because he's constantly sending people down to NXT for looks, sending them up to, it's a Ring of Honor affiliate dojo.
Yeah.
You're going to get looks, and he's going to teach you how to be ready for TV.
He knows some people.
The connections are there. That's important. It's huge. But then it's also, like I said, he knows what they want. Mm-hmm. He's worked with them enough. He knows what they want.
Well, he prepares you for what you're going to be expected to do. Yeah. Whether it be WWE or Ring of Honor, he knows how the wrestling business works.
Absolutely.
So he's got this under control.
So if you're I know guys that have moved to Atlanta now to train with him. If you're in the Atlanta area at all, it's a no-brainer. The One Fall Power Factory. You can find them on Facebook, by the way.
And the facility. Yep. Just the facility is amazing.
World-class facility. NFL, combine athletes train there to get ready. I mean, that tells you that's all you need to know as far as the exercise, the workout equipment, blah, blah. And on top of that, by the way, they've got one of the best rings we've seen, period.
Yeah. Now they got 2 rings right in there set up all the time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And it's not even like, we don't, no knock on anybody on the indies, but dude, if you need a ring, by the way, that's a great place to get one. Yeah. Because it looks professional. I mean, but anyway, I digress on that. It's just where you should be training, and I think a lot of the stars from the future, like, Duckworth, Pale Horse, Josie Quinn, that's where they're getting their training in, and I think that's where even Alan Angels went up for the trip, so he got to go get a look at Ring of Honor. So we're big fans of all of those involved. So I'm happy that they got the look and they got the success to show for it. So,
so good to go, man. Great place, great people. great support, and you see a lot of legends coming in there to see what's going on. You see Glacier there. You see Ernest Miller there. It's a pretty big deal.
Yep.
So.
Oh, well, man, that's everything I got on my notes for this week. You got anything that I've missed or anything?
No, it looks like we have covered a lot of stuff. We got through everything we needed to go, and maybe started the shit pot. Look out, folks, for the Shoots Fired talk show. We seem to be doing pretty good with that. It's a new thing on YouTube and then as podcast. So enjoy it, and that's all I've got.
Well, man, if I got nothing and you got nothing, man, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.